You know, this is the course about alchemy. We are giving you the real gold. The real gold. Now I'm asking you, how much do you think the real gold is worth for you?
Let's start. So why? Why? Tell me. Why is it high quality?
Why what we're doing is high quality?
Yeah.
Because we are extracting the essence of the cultural heritage of the West. In that sense, it is existing in other traditions, but mainly of the West, about the art of transformation and the experience of Western esoteric civilization and tradition about that process that has been embodied in science, enshrined and shrouded in symbols. And what we are going to do in this course is to unpack it and present it in a palatable way and a digestible way for the audience, which is intelligence and looking for spiritual knowledge and can contain the spiritual knowledge. But otherwise, it's very inaccessible. And what we are going to do is to make it accessible within the 7 weeks that we have, within the 7 classes that we have.
Yeah. What kind of a transformation is that? What do we mean by transformation?
That's a very good question because we do use in the spiritual world, in our lingua, in our discourse, we use the word transformation a lot. So something basic in alchemy is that there is the prima materia, which is like the dark elements. What today is very common to speak about shadow work. There's the prima materia, and then there is the gold or the lapis lazuli on the other side. And we like to move to transform from the prima materia to the lapis lazuli or to the gold. And the way to do it is via the Mercurian agent, the Mercury agent, Mercury as in the metal Mercury, and Mercury as like the symbol of Hermes, the messenger of the god or the leader of the soul, what in Greek is called the psychopomp. And the leader of the soul, the guide of the soul, is the one who leads us and assists us to look on the dark materials of the soul, the shadow materials of the soul. Now, the shadow, it's not a mistake. The role of the shadow is to present to the consciousness the processed matters, the raw matters of the soul, the matters that needs to be processed and needs to be refined and needs to be defined and needs to be worked on by us because they are intertwined with our attachment, suffering, trauma, generational trauma, all the shadow elements, which are not bad, but they are holding us back and they are keeping us in a phase when we are not acting from the higher selves. And then the result is, as you can see in the politics, it's arrogance, it's violence, it's wars that are based on ego notions, on who is bigger, who is stronger, whose identity is better. And the reality is that nobody got monopoly on pain, and nobody got monopoly on issues, and everyone has the right, the human right to transformation. So I would say that transformation is being able to live a more liberated life, which means that you are taking responsibility. First, you identify your feelings in the real time, on the critical moment, and then you are acting from a space of freedom, no matter what the outer conditions are. No matter in what conditions you are acting from a space of inner freedom. That's what I would call transformation.
Great, thank you. And you talked about a lot of symbols. You said there's a lot of symbols in this transformation in alchemy. Why? The question is why? Why do we need these symbols? Why isn't it so direct?
Good. The reason B is that the words that we use are aimed to define, to label, to adjudicate, to to put a clear essence onto an idea or to a something. And here in the alchemy, we are when things are that rich, you cannot grasp them via the words. The words can explain, but the words are also a limitation. And thus the symbol gives what the words cannot give, which is more rich and ability to hold a multitude of meanings and to awaken the soul. I mean, look, a word is also a symbol. A word is also a symbol. When I tell you lion and you think about a lion, then that's a symbol. There's a symbol and what you're symboling. But the visual symbol in that sense is more rich and enabling to the mystery to open in you, because in that sense it's not a riddle that you're going to solve. It's not an equation that in the end you'll have x equals something. It's a mystery that you open up and you stand up in the presence of the mystery and you embody it, and then you go with it in the world and you act. Like the question at the end of the day is, who are the people who are meeting you? Who are they meeting? What kind of a person do they meet? And all spiritual work, in the end of it, aims to make you a kind and better person. And if that doesn't, if you're not kind at the end of the process, then go back to the meditation cushion and walk a little bit more. It's all about like the opening up. The symbol enables you better than words, because words are actually limitations to that, and words invite dogmatism or like clear definition and strong conviction. This is exactly what we'd like to avoid. We say this is the way and that's the truth, and that's exactly what we're trying to avoid.
Yeah, great. So another question is, we say that the inner life and outer life mirror each other. So above as below, kind of a thing. How is that? How can we understand it? How my inner life and outer life mirror each other?
You can think about Viktor Frankl and the search for meaning. The search for meaning. Even if you are in the worst of conditions, in the concentration camp, in jail, in the middle of a war zone, you can still choose, or at Hilsum. At Hilsum is a great example. You can choose who you are in these conditions. And the inner disposition is the one that set the tone for that. And the more you look, there are many things in life on which we simply have no control. And that's a reality. And we're not going to control it. We have control on very little things. And in that sense, determining what is your internal disposition, it what makes the whole difference between, are you a victim of the circumstances, or are you an adult person, responsible, benefiting adult in your life, who is functioning no matter what the situation is. No matter what the situation is. So when your consciousness is clouded by fear, by judgment, by guilt, by anger, by all the negative feelings, this is what you're going to see. This is what you're going to see. This is what you're going to meet. There's no doubt, because these are your lenses. These are the lenses through which you see the world. And then what's also interesting is that you will get justifications or approvals or assurances. If you think that you're going in the world and everyone are against you and everyone are trying to trick you or hurt you, you will get plenty of assurances that this is indeed the situation. In how you read the other person, you go to the shop and the person was, I don't know, wasn't greeting you or saying something like that. It's not in their mind, it's in your mind, so the lenses via we are observing the reality, they are determining what is the reality that we see, and who are we going to meet. And then there is that feedback circle that make it stronger and stronger. Now, I'm not saying one needs to be naive and stupid or in kind of a, kind of a naive peace and love perspective. We would like to be in a basic strong attitude and disposition, grounded in the reality, and yet based on loving kindness. Based on loving kindness,
Yeah. So why is death so important in alchemy? Why is that? Like we always like death and rebirth kind of a thing. We always talk about that. What is the importance of this kind of death in alchemy or transformation?
because until the death of the old, until the old is dying and letting go, there's no place for the new to be reborn. As much as we are holding to the old structures, holding them for dear life, and those structures are not working for us anymore, and then we put a lot of energy just to hold those old structures that are no longer working with us. And look, I think that has always been the situation in human life, but now it's crucial because everything is falling apart. All that we now talking about my generation, our generation, we who came from the 20th century, and we were brought into a certain zone, a certain mindset. For example, we were taught that the big wars are over. That after World War II, now it's going to be fine. The wars is over, and now we discover it's not true. Now we discover it's not true, and we need to live with that. We are brought to believe in progress. We brought to believe in democracy. Things are falling now, and we cannot pretend that, or we can pretend, but then it will have a price that we pay further. So, in that sense, the origin of that word "die before you die" is from the Sufi tradition. But this is the most crucial thing. If you're not practicing dying before you're dying, then you will come to your death unprepared, and nothing can be worse. Nothing can be worse than that, because death is, in that sense, a friend. The opposite of death is not life. The opposite of death is birth, is being reborn. And if you think about the symbol of the phoenix bird, it gets to its top, then it crumbles into itself, you go, and then the flame comes back again out of it goes in the flame, and then out of that a little bit of essence, there is a new birth of it. This is the spiritual process. Hope I answered your question.
Yeah. I have another question now. It came to my
Yeah.
mind. So, regarding this death, most of the time, in my experience, it's like, okay, now I'm leaving the old and starting the new. I'm a new person now. Okay, I'm changing these habits. I'm getting new good habits. But actually, it's fake. It's not happening. Somewhere else, my old habits are staying, my old thoughts are staying, old feelings are staying. It's not that easy to change that. It's not easy to die, right?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Do you have a secret formula to die
No, it's not about the
more
secret
easily?
formula, but I can give you this. It's true, and I can relate to it. Okay, as somebody who's putting I want to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go and do yoga in the sunset, but I'm not. Okay, so first, it's authentic, and I'm not patronizing that. I, at the same time, I really, really want to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go do yoga in the sunrise, and I really, really want to stay in bed and sleep. Those are both very authentic voices, okay? So I'm not patronizing any of them. I would say here that this is regarding your question, what is transformation? Because there is this change is reversible. Transformation is not. The butterfly is not going back to the cocoon, and it's not going to be a caterpillar. Transformation is irreversible. Change, and we changing ourselves, and with the years, you can see what is transformation. Look, I'm privileged here when I walk to see old people who had been living religious life, old monks and sisters, and you see the benefit of life in the presence of the spirit. That there is something about those people which I found very inspiring, and it's like it's almost there's only light on the other side. There's hardly their personality is hardly there. Now we cling a lot to our individuality. We care about our individuality and so on. What I can see is people who have moved beyond their individuality, and they're just an expression of the spirit. They're very sweet and very soft. And I guess I would say that the more you resist, what you resist persists on that sense. I know it's a bit of a cliche of spiritual life, but the more I'm fighting with why am I doing this and I'm not doing that, and my old habits, look at them, my old habits are still clicking, and now I'm smoking again, now I'm not doing this,
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
can.
doing
I
that.
was just going to. Yeah, I was just going to talk about smoking. I can relate to that. I tried to quit smoking a lot for years and I couldn't. And one day I wasn't really willing to stop smoking. I was okay. Okay, I said I give up. Like I'm going to smoke. I'm giving up smoking. So, but that day, after that day, I didn't smoke. It just stopped by itself. I didn't do anything. So in that sense, I
So the
can relate to
transformation happened. You see,
it.
as long as you were struggling with that, it wasn't happening. Only when the struggling ceased and you were quiet about that, there was no more internal discussion about it, then it happens by itself. So it's not that I can give you the secret formula. But this is the secret formula, what you just now said. But it wouldn't happen if you wouldn't be like hitting your head and going again. And, it's like, you, it's exactly as you said. At some point, the transformation just happens, but it doesn't happen by its own. It happened because you put yourself again and again in the arena, and you said, I will never give up. I will never give up. Look, all obstacle between the divine and us are from our side. The divine frequency is always there. It's our channel which is not clear. Okay.
Yeah,
So what do we want from the divine? It's we need to be there. We live in a time when there's a lot of distractions, when our mind is messed up, full of information, data which is totally irrelevant. We are looking into that. Thank God that our generation had seen some years before the birth of that, and the youngsters today that they don't know anything else but that the destructive mind of the devices. This is why this is a crucial moment, and I feel that this is my seriously. I know it's big word, but like sacred duty to transform that knowledge that I have, the knowledge, the skills, and the value that I have before I die. You know no matter how many years God will give me. But I feel I must deliver it onward, and it's not about me, and it's about really it's the spirit which is generous. No, I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm good. I know my things, but it's the spirit which is generous.
yeah, I get it. And I read that the transformation is beginning with chaos. Why is that? Why do we need chaos? Why do we need uncertainty to start the transformation?
It's a bit like the death thing. It's a bit like the death thing. You cannot deter it. You cannot start when everything is fine. It's just not. It's just not. It's just not how things are. And chaos, in that sense, whether it will be in the Hebrew tradition in the Bible, it says tohu vavo, abyss and void. In the Metamorphosis of Ovidius, it speaks about the chaos as the entry point to when everything happens. In the Alchemy, it's called a massa confusa. massa confusa. There's like all the elements are messed up one into the other, and then there is the act of discernment. The act of discernment, the eye, or the third eye, or the eye, the da'at, what we call the gnosa, what we call in Kabbalah, the eye which discerns and see and can adjudicate good and bad and sorted and not sorted and helpful and not helpful. In the early phase, you cannot have it before you apply the mind into it. So that's like the condition of it. If you would get things which are already settled and sorted, then there wouldn't be a process, and we are interested in a process. More than we are interested in the result, we are interested in the process. Wow, that's the best answer I can give. You cannot detour the chaos because that's the entry point, full stop. That's like, it's a condition. I cannot even explain to you why is that happen. The condition is the things start in the chaos. And let me tell you that, because it frightens us. It frightens us. Chaos is always an option. Chaos is always an option. And I'll tell you how it looks in our life. Okay, what's our greatest fear? My greatest fear, to end up poor, sick, and lonely. Okay? Poor, sick, and lonely. That's like our worst fear. And homeless and cannot sustain ourselves, and in the street shitting and weighing on yourself, like no, like in a total chaos. So that's an option. And if you want to avoid it, you need to look it in the eyes and say chaos is always there. More than that, the world is moving to entropia, to lack of
Yeah.
order, not to order. If you will leave things, they will become messy. If you want things to be sorted, you have to invest quite a lot of effort. You know what? You have to invest an effort just to keep the things where they are. If you want to push them upward, you have to even put even further a human effort. If you want things to progress forward, you and me, there's like a communal effort to kind of giving a shoulder and we're pushing things forward. If you leave things like that, things will deteriorate back to entropy, back to chaos. It's like chaos is always there as an option. And because it frightens us, we have to look at that reality in the eye. And I think like the political reality, the social reality, the economic reality is one of chaos. What we're trying to do is to create pockets of order within that chaos. We're trying to create pockets of knowledge, of community spirit, of a strong human spirit, of loving kindness, of friendship, of education, of practice, spiritual practice within that chaos. So the chaos is like we are the island and the chaos is the ocean. And we're trying that the to stabilize us, against that chaos, not because we think we're going to win over it, because we know we're going to win over it. We're coming from the chaos, we'll be back from the chaos, but because it's crucial for us to create these pockets of order, because we sense that we know what order can be, and we feel committed toward our people, our parents, our kids, our communities, our friends, our brothers and sisters, to deliver the best for us and for them, you know? Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's painful.
And from there, let's go to pain. What about pain? Is pain inevitable in the process of alchemy, or can we avoid pain during this
No, you cannot.
transformation?
No, you cannot avoid pain. Sorry to say. Sorry to say.
Why is it?
There's no
Why is
pain.
it
There's no
inevitable?
pain.
Especially in the process of transformation in alchemy.
First, in the stages of alchemy, it's called like mortificatio, the dying, the dismantling, all things are being burned, the fat is being burned. Well, I would say that the pain is related to the attachment, and that's like a very basic Buddhism, right? It's not even a high level. It's got to the attachment because we are attached, and that's human. Because we love, and that's human. You know, and we are afraid to lose what we love, and that's also human, then it's painful. If you have, let's not even take like the worst of cases. Like, obviously, when you lose someone, then there's intense pain. But even if you lose a job or a position, or you're being attacked on the base of your opinions or ideology or convictions, or even on the base of who you are as a person, as your ethnicity or your gender orientation or your I don't know what. The reason it's painful is because we are attached to those things,
It's
For
that
example,
simple, right?
yeah, it's really not complicated, but you cannot just avoid it. Look, even if I say, because even if you say, oh, cognitively, I know that it's not about me. It's just, it's the, I don't know, whatever example it is, well, the examples again, it's not me, but the prima materia is still attached. The souls that we have, we are not enlightened creatures. We are creatures in the being, in the in process. We are creatures in process, and that's why it is painful. And the only thing I can say about it is that there is an other side of it. And what is pain? What is pain? It is just a feeling. It is just a feeling. And it passes like any other feeling. Okay? We don't say, oh, why is it that we are enjoying food or we're enjoying company or we're having an orgasm, then that's that. Why is that part of the process? We are not complaining about that. So I would say let's not be impressed with the good elements and not be over traumatized by the bad elements. Just accept that this is the process. And the new thing which will rise, which will kind of come out of it, will be more mature and less intertwined and more free. And then you will be better benefiting responsible adult, number one in your life, and number two in the life of those around you, which is the kids and the youth and the community. It's like, and also what I can say is that when you release yourself from all those painful experiences, you also release your ancestors and you also release the kids. It's just for that it's worth. Just for that it's worth. So you say, I'm like, this shit ends now. And I'm going to do the suffering it takes. I don't mind. Because I don't want the kids to do it. I'm not leaving it to the kids to deal with. And because I understand with love that my ancestors couldn't do it. Because they had their own issues to deal with. And they just couldn't do it. And it's my shift. It's my turn. I'm willing to carry that cross lovingly. In Tarot, I think it would be like the hanged man. It's like willingly, I'm willing to go through that, like you're being asked, willing or not. If you're not pushed, you'll jump. If you're not jumping, you will be pushed. If you're not jumping, you'll be pushed. Willing or not, I'm going through that, and it is what it is. I'll be on the other side. And if not, Jai is great. Fine. I will die. I will come next life. I will deal with it. There's time. Time is eternity. Time is not a factor. It's a factor for us, but not for eternity.
Great, 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 great. Okay, so you mentioned about Hermes. Who is Hermes, and why is he important in alchemy?
Yeah. Yeah, he's the hero of alchemy. So when we're looking at Hermes, there are like two layers to that. The first layer is in the Greek mythology, in the Greek pantheon, Hermes as the messenger of the gods, and the one who in the Greek mythology story is guiding the soul through whatever tribulation there is and whatever havoc the soul is going through. And he is like the messenger between this world and the other world. And in that sense, I mentioned that it's called the psychopompus, the leader of the soul, the guide of the soul. And on that sense, Hermes is crucial on that journey. In the Roman name of Hermes is Mercury, and Mercury is in the in the chemistry elements. Again, when you're taking let's say you take the charcoal as the prima materia, and you take the lapis lazuli or the gold, and you put them in the vase hermeticum, by the way, the closed vessel, vase hermeticum, and this is where you put them, and when you will join the mercury, then in principle the charcoal should become into the gold via the mercury. So that's one element. Another element is a figure that we don't know if he was a real person or not, but we're talking about a figure that is called Hermes Trismegistus, the triple mag, the triple magician, who supposedly lived in Alexandria in the second or third century, together with another lady who called Miriam the prophetess, the one who invented the bain marie that people are still making chocolate with. So this is like the early days of alchemistry, when the science element and the spirit element was still very much intertwined. And he left for us the the emerald tablet. In that, there is the famous quote, "As above, so below." So this is like an early figure in the history of alchemy, and in a way, those who put the foundations for alchemy. Yeah,
Yeah. And Jung was interested also in alchemy. Why?
yeah. Jung. Um, Jung was looking for the archetypes, and Jung was looking for the symbolism that can express the human soul. And then he came across the alchemical writings. By this, I'm speaking mainly about the manuscript of that were available to him of the 16th century, 7th century, 18th century, until his time. And he found in that a strong foundation that was validating the ideas that he anyhow had. So he was writing about it in his notebooks. There is 2, 3 notebooks that are just dedicated to the study of those manuscripts. And then he was he was compiling it into something called the Red Book, which was actually published only just recently. The Red Book by Jung, in which he was kind of moving it via himself. It is like it's an original composition based when he was like taking all these texts and passing it via himself, and he was making whether mandalas or whether it be the other cultural symbolism that enabled him to harness, to deepen the understanding of collective subconscious experience in symbols, which he was talking about. It gave it the cultural and historical depth and validization. The main reason that Jung was interested in alchemy, because it gave validization to the ideas he anyhow was kind of working with, and it's very valuable for us. Jung is extremely valuable for us on that sense. Even people who don't read or don't know, they're still using those terminology, even though they don't know it, because it's spread, it's rich.
Hmm. Hmm. And my last question, we already talked about it, but do you have any last words to say? How is alchemy applicable to today's world and people of today? And what will I gain if I join this course? We already talked about it, but do you have any last words on them?
Look, First, I cannot know what a person will gain out of joining the course because it depends on what a person is going to put it into it, you know. And as much as you will put into it, it's the spirit who will reward you, not me, you know. And I'm not saying it in a false arrogance. So it's really not about me. I don't know what you can gain out of it. I know that what the potential to gain out of it is clarity and orientation. And clarity and orientation is like the two things that we're really, really lacking these days in the messed upness and in the this disorientation of this time. And you will, because it's about distilling the gold, what is important and what is valuable within the fullness of noise that we have, and the gold in the sense is coming. Oh, now I got a good thing about the it's like there's no mud, no lotus. No mud, no lotus. Okay?
Hmm.
So the
Hmm.
mud is like the prima materia. The lotus is what comes out, the beauty that comes out of it. And what is in the heart of the lotus? What is in the heart of the lotus? The diamond, right? The diamond in the Om Mani Padme Om, the diamond in the heart of the lotus. So that's in that sense, what this course can give you is open your eyes to see that the diamond in the heart of the lotus is already there. The
Wow.
universal Dharma door is already open, you know, and there's no need to fight. It's already there. It gives a lot of assurance and comfort to see the spiritual struggle that our ancestors were going through, because we are not alone and we don't have to invent the wheel. There is roadmaps that has been written before us. It's on us to implement it, you know. It's on us, and nobody's going to do it instead of us. But basically that's it's going to give you a roadmap, and it's going to give you orientation, and it's going to give you direction, and it's going to give you assurance.
Okay, let's leave it here. It's great.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
think
great
it's a
place
good
to
place to
stop.
start.
Yeah.